Hello again, friends, and Happy New Year. Matt with Eddie's Guitars coming to you as always from St. Louis, Missouri. And I've got an extra sweet little box to share with you folks today. And maybe before we get to that, let me share on a personal note. For the past few years, I've been generally intrigued and just a fan of the old Kalamazoo KG-11 guitars. They haven't made them in a long time, and there really hasn't been anything made quite like that in a long time. And with as many talented and just incredible builders as we have in the world today, my mind has often wondered who's going to be the first person to sort of bring that model back, sort of do a recreation or an interpretation of that guitar. And I have to say, I think that my wait may very well be over. Sitting next to me here is just an incredible little Iris Guitars DE-11. And this is actually the Dan Erlewine signature model that is closely based on his old actual vintage Kalamazoo KG-11 guitar. So ask and thou shalt receive, I suppose. This is just a great interpretation of those old guitars with a few really, really cool tricks up its sleeve. And before we get much further, I just want to mention this is actually a prototype model. Adam and Dan were kind enough to send me this guitar. I've had it here for the past couple weeks, and I've got to say I've had a tremendous amount of fun digging into this guitar and kind of figuring out how everything works on it. So again, at its core, we've got kind of a KG-11 style guitar, very lightweight, again, very resonant. The neck on this guitar is a fairly full size. Again, it's a 1 3/4 nut width, but it does have a fairly full size neck, which is certainly reminiscent of those actual old Kalamazoo guitars. This, of course, does have a truss rod in it, so it will be adjustable in that sense, where most of those old Kalamazoos did not. We do have 2 5/16 spacing down here at the bridge as well, so just a very playable. If you like a little chunkier neck, you would be right at home with this guitar. You can see all the way up on the headstock is a really cool stenciled on logo there, and you can notice that the portion there beyond the nut is elongated before you actually get to the wings of the headstock where the tuning machines and everything are. The idea there is, in my opinion, at least twofold. Dan Erlewine requested to have a little bit of extra length there for some of the chordal work that he does. Which is certainly valid. I like it as a part of the neck to store an extra capo there, Elliott style capo, kind of wrap that around there. You won't have any problem depressing the strings or going out of tune. You've got plenty of space there. The tuning machines on this guitar are kind of new to me, admittedly. These are the Riccar banjo tuning machines. I should mention these are nickel banjo tuning machines on this prototype. They will come with brass tuning machines on the actual production models, and beyond that, these tuning machines are unbelievable. They feel like they're floating on hydraulics. They're so smooth, and they really have a very solid tuning stability to them as well. I've had zero issues. In fact, they have been a downright joy to operate with this guitar. So full endorsement there all the way. We will have a spruce top on this guitar. I believe Sitka spruce will be the standard, if I'm not mistaken, for this guitar, as well as Honduran mahogany back and sides. And you can see it has kind of a nice satin finish there. You can see the finish is kind of allowed to go into the pores of the grain there. So kind of a nice light finish that they use on this guitar. And I'll tell you, it absolutely feels as resonant as it sounds. You can really feel this thing in your gut, kind of transferring the bass response. I've been, again, overwhelmed with the voice of this guitar out of such a small box. It has a very substantial low end, a beautiful and I think accurate mid-range, and a nice substantial kind of fat level of trebles out of this guitar as well. So there's a sort of an inherent maturity that this guitar is going to have. And I'll tell you, it's not an old guitar. It has not been played a lot either. So pretty darn good head start for a new guitar here. So you might notice on the fingerboard here what appears to be a few extra position markers on the face of the fingerboard. That you would be mistaken if you thought that, though I would understand why you might think that. We're going to go to a separate clip right now to kind of illustrate exactly what this is. Okay, and Thanks to the power of teleportation, we are now over at the bench. And like I said, I wanted to share what was going on the fingerboard here. What might look like inlay position markers on the face of the fingerboard are actually threaded brass inserts that they inlay into the face of the fingerboard here. And what these are actually installed here to accommodate the capos that are included with this guitar. You can see here, have a wooden capo that will cover all 6 strings. We actually have a second one down here that's a partial capo that is meant to cover the second, third, fourth, and fifth strings, so leaving the 2 E strings uncapoed. And the idea here is you take the screw inside the capo there. You want to be kind of careful because, of course, you do not want to strip out these threaded inserts, but you literally just screw that capo right into the face of the fingerboard there. You don't have to tighten it an awful lot, and then you get the capoed effect there. And the advantage here, of course, I will say the disadvantage, let me maybe start there, will be speed. This is not something that you're going to take on stage with you and switch on the fly. This is something to sit down and play a handful of songs with, or do a recording project, or just sit down and have a lot of fun experimenting with it. This is not an on-the-fly switch in between songs kind of an operation here. However, the tremendous advantage that it does have is you do not have all of the extra hardware of a traditional capo hanging all around over the neck, whether you're talking about a clamp style or more of an Elliott style capo. This is extremely low profile. There's literally nothing on the back side of the neck getting in your way or hindering any amount of access you might have around the capo. And being the fact that they include a partial capo in there, and 2 of them, both a partial and the full capo, what I found that you can do that's pretty neat, you can either take the full-size guy, capo up the neck to where you're completely changing the key altogether, then take your partial and mount it up even higher. So you still have the advantage of those sort of alternate tuning-esque sort of tricks. You can also, of course, just use your standard typical capo that you already own as well, and or no capo at all. This thing just sounds good either way. So we will go back to the studio now. Under the hood of this beauty, we have a full ladder brace design. Again, very accurate to the original KG-11 models. That ladder brace design paired with the smaller body and short scale really makes for a satisfyingly thumpy and kind of bluesy, almost raw kind of sound. It just has an organic and old, true, honest sound to it. Very substantial fundamentals. It's a dry sound, though, next to nothing in terms of harmonic complexity or overtones coming out of this guitar, which really is what it's all about, just those strong fundamentals and that woody quality that a guitar like this is going to have. We're going to do a little bit of listening to this with a partial capo on it at first, then we're going to take the capos off and just listen to it in standard tuning a bit. I think you'll be impressed with the sound of this beauty.